You didn't get a day off for football?
No.
Shoot, I was trying to give you all a day off. No media, no practice. No good, huh? I was trying to help you guys.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Because Claude was asking me if we should do media on Wednesday. I said, no, look, give the guys a break. Give them a day off.
That's very thoughtful.
I tried. What do you want to talk about?
How would you describe the way Todd Gurley's moving around right now?
The old Todd Gurley.
That's
push.
right. Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. You know what? He practiced. He made it to the end. He ran sprints with everybody at the end. He did scout work, which is really all we asked him to do. But he did the fundamental work, you know, the run polish and that kind of thing. He did good. I'm encouraged.
So a lot of those guys that, you know, in this game's Bennett and Trey starting to get out there and move around some. I guess that's
Bennett, I don't know what you saw of Bennett, but he's straight ahead is really all I saw him do, and he looked good doing it. He wasn't like trying to break a land speed record or anything, but he was sprinting, striding out pretty good, and he looked fine. He was kind of, the drill I saw him do was kind of a sprint, jog kind of thing down the field, and he looked good. You know, I would think he'll be practicing Monday, would be my guess.
What's it look like for David Andrews?
You know what? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think we expect him to play, but he did not go today. Dallas was playing the center with the first group.
How's the line look different without Boss?
Well, we're hoping it's such a temporary thing. You don't really think much about it, but we had Colton playing the left guard spot where Dallas was, and Colton's a good player, you know, so I think we'd be okay, but we're better with Boss at center. He's been doing it so long, the communication, all the reps together, you know, it's just hard to start over.
How about Harvey Clemens and Conley?
I mean, neither one of them practiced. I would guess Josh Harvey is closer than Chris, and I don't really know. I don't know if Josh will practice Monday or not. I don't remember talking. I mean, I remember talking around about everybody, but there's so many you kind of forget, and I can't remember if we expect him to practice Monday or not.
I understand, I think from Coach Bobo, that Rump just wasn't ready to go last week. Obviously, he dressed out and traveled. I mean, he's such an impressive-looking athlete. He looks like he could help you. Is he in position to help you against Florida?
That's our goal, to get him in position to help. Yeah.
One more. Is Reggie Carter out there?
Reggie was not out there. Reggie hurt his knee Tuesday in practice. Don't know how severe yet. I don't know if Ron will have a report on that or not. He can tell you better.
So the off weekend, is it completely off? Is there like you telling guys to get lost and get away from football?
Well, we want them to go to class tomorrow, and but there's no responsibility football-wise. No lifting, no meetings. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of guys will be trying to have a little distance to go. It'll give them a shot to go home for a couple of days. Be good for them.
Mark, I know you usually credit your academic support staff for graduation rates. How much is there like a culture change in terms of the importance when you see the rates go up like that?
No, I just think that we've been putting in a lot of effort towards that, and sometimes circumstances like, I mean, if a guy transfers, if a guy decides for playing time reasons, or you know, there's reasons why, you know, a guy goes pro early, get a bunch of guys going pro early, and all that can change that rate. But
I think this rate though is the one that doesn't. Is that right? Doesn't include it. It's GSR, not the.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I found out walking up
Okay.
what we had,
Okay.
and they said we were #1 in the league.
Yeah.
So my quote on that is I'm really proud of everybody, and I'm thankful. but as far as, I mean, I just think everybody did a great job, and I'm happy for them. We graduated a lot of guys out here.
I'm sure your job is just stressful regardless of the year or the situation. But how much has there been a detectable difference in stress just by having gotten the floor to knock you off your back a little bit over the last 2 years?
Oh, you talking about going into this one?
Yeah, I mean, winning 2.
Well, I mean, it's nice not to have to hear that question. I mean, you know, year after year, when you're going to be Florida, that gets pretty old. And so, you know, that isn't the big topic of conversation this year. It's more of everyone's talking. I mean, what we talk about injuries for the first, you know, 80% of this meeting so far. That's what everybody's talking about. But it's been the dominating story. I mean, we don't want to make it the story of the year. We want to win ball games. We want to prepare to win with who we have available. We want guys to get well as fast as they can get well. We want guys to get, you know, some guys that know they're going to miss the season. We want them to be ready as fast as they can so they can have a great year next year. But obviously that's been the thing that most people have talked about because it's been a little unusual in that regard.
Coach, I guess there were questions, just about tight ends catching passes or whatever, but how much do you think, or how much would you say Arthur Lynch's values kind of lies in his blocking?
Yeah.
And what do you
Well,
think?
I'll say this, Artie blocked real well last week. And the tight end's job description is to block as much as it is to catch the ball. I mean, you're going to block more than you catch a ball in a game. He really had a good game in that regard. I think he's, you know, there's been a game or two where he didn't really like what he saw on film, and thought he did a great job of making that better. But you know, we've got two very good tight ends who are experienced. We've got a young tight end who's, you know, still trying to figure it out on scholarship, and he's got great potential, I think, for down the road. But you know, and Hugh's done a good job for us as a blocker as well. So I mean, I don't know if we'll have a set out there. I doubt we do any 4 wide receiver sets out there. I mean, there's going to be a tight end, at least one tight end every set that we show up in the game. So it's very important to us.
Mark, obviously y'all face some adversity all over the team, but on the defensive side of the ball. And how would you rate the cohesion of that unit right now? How are guys holding up?
Oh, I think they're doing great. I think they're excited about playing the next game. They played pretty good last week. They showed up and played pretty good. We got a pick 6, and we had a lot of great stops. And you know, I don't know how many yards they had. They didn't have a lot of yards. Didn't really have a massive amount of points, but that weren't, you know, helped out by some field position errors and things of that nature. And of course, that big penalty, you know, didn't help us when, you know, we legitimately stopped that drive. And that was a big time in the game to get that kind of a stop. So, you know, even though the penalty stood, I think they know in their heart they got to stop when they needed to get the stop. Now, could they have, after the ball got moved, you know, we still got to play defense and keep them out of the end zone. But I think everybody sees the improvement. I think everybody is building off of that.
Jordan Jenkins said he thought the defensive game plan was simplified a little bit, at least the least complicated game plan they had. Did you?
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you do that to help your back end. And then the other thing is when you play a team that has a lot of motions and shifts and all these things that if you have to make an adjustment every time they motion, every time they shift, if you have to do that versus every single look, if you have too many defensive looks, I guess is what I'm saying, and then you add all these different formations and shifts that all need adjustments, usually when you play an offensive team that does a lot of that stuff, you try to keep it simpler, and that way there's less things you have to adjust along the way. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but if a team just lined up in one formation every down, you'd probably run a lot of different schemes against it. But if they're constantly changing in motion and shifting and this and that, and every time they do something, you have to make an adjustment on whatever defense you called. If you have too many defenses, if you have too many calls in the game, you're gonna have too many adjustments and you're gonna have bust assignments. So you simplify sometimes according to what the offense is doing as well.
Coach, what have you seen this week just from you guys being able to step back and evaluate what you guys have in this building to lead you to believe that some of the little things on defense, special teams, other parts of the game will improve and kind of turn a corner down the stretch?
Well, like I said before, I think that I think our defense has improved. I think they know that, they believe that. I think up front defensively, we've really played pretty good most of the year versus the run game, getting ourselves into some third and longs, mediums and longs. You know, we've done a little bit better lately of getting off the field in those situations. So I think we're building off of that. You know, special teams, you know, there's been some, obviously, you got some, we drop a punt in a game. We dropped the snap on a punt in a game earlier. And then the one goes high and we drop that one. And then another one's high and we end up getting a kick block. We have a high snap on extra point. We drop a punt. You know, and so what I'm saying is, you know, those things have happened. You can't erase them, but there's a lot more to special teams than those acts. You know, there's guys that have to protect. There's guys that have to cover. There's guys that you have to get a guy on the ground, so to speak, in these things. So there's been a lot of good things happening, quite frankly, but it's just been totally overshadowed by some of the big things that have just gone awry. So, you know, I don't, you know, if we just if we just field the punt and snap the ball and catch the snap and you know, do that, which you would think would be fairly elementary, I don't think we'd be talking about our special teams as much as we have been. That's what I think.
Got time for one more?
Mark, when you had an opening, when Rodney left, how much consideration did you give to when you had that opening to having a special teams coordinator, not necessarily someone that coached the defensive line, but you know, jiggering your staff where that would?
Well, I mean, I needed a D-line coach.
Right.
I needed a D-line coach who was really good and a guy that could recruit, and you know, so that's really the only consideration I had. All right.